what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Foot Candle Films. Film news and reviews from two guys who really like movies.
This episode is brought to you by the Foot Candle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. With me is Chris Fry, and we are both with the Foot Candle Film Society, the annual Foot Candle Film Festival, and here, co-host of the Foot Candle Films podcast. And Chris, how are you doing? Have you recovered from our late night Sunday night? We are recording this on a Tuesday morning.
Yes.
We did not try to record this Monday morning because that would have been foolish, given the very late night we had Sunday night. But have you recovered, rested? Are you back here with us?
I have, and I would like to thank the Academy for starting at 7, although they may have started at 7 previously, but I actually felt like the ceremony was fairly tidy. It didn't, I got home at a decent time. I mean, yes, it was still late, but it seemed to be running, as quick as it could, or as expediently as possible.
Okay.
So.
I agree, and we are going to dig into even more details about the Oscar awards and obviously the announcement of the awards winners, as we'll go through and kind of hit some of the highlights of those winning the award this year. We'll do that a little bit later in the program. First up, we are going to have a review of a new film that came out just a little over a week ago. It is the Pixar Disney film Hoppers animated film. We'll be reviewing that here in just a moment, followed by our talk about the Oscar ceremony. And I think we're going to squeeze a trailer in to watch, maybe midway through as well, a trailer of an upcoming film that I already tell you, I'm already scared to watch this trailer, Chris. It's another horror film.
I don't believe it's a Red Band trailer, so it can't be that bad.
It's just creepy. Anyway, we'll see. It's going to be the trailer for an upcoming neon horror film. So we'll tease that here in a moment. And I think you have a recommendation of a film to share with us at the end of the episode as well.
I do.
So with all of that, we've got plenty to do. First up, though, we are going to review the latest film from Disney Studios, the Pixar version of the Disney Studios. This is the film Hoppers.
Doc! Oh, I need your help. Mabel, I'm in the middle of class. A class that you are enrolled in.
Sup, Mabel?
Come with me. The traditional methods to understand animals just weren't working. But we've done it, Mabel. We created a revolutionary technology that gives us unprecedented access to the animal world. We call it Hoppers. Huh? We put this into this. Yes, this into this. Mabel, be careful!
Whoa. And they were in the same den.
No.
I understand you.
What you doing later?
In Hoppers, the latest animated 3D animated film, it's not 3D. What is it? It's called CGI. CGI animated film from Pixar Studios, which is obviously part of Disney. So you've got both the Disney Cinderella Castle logo coming up at the beginning, and then you have the Pixar bouncing lamp logo all coming up together.
Lumo? Is that his name?
Luxo.
Luxo. There we go.
Or Luxo Jr. Something like that. Anyway, that's the way Pixar and Disney are now affiliated together, making animated films. We have Hoppers. Hoppers tells the story of a 19-year-old animal lover who uses technology that places her consciousness into a robotic beaver to uncover mysteries within the animal world beyond her imagination. So, Chris, this is the kind of reviews I don't like doing in that I did not see this film. So obviously I cannot review it. I could just based on pure surface information, and I could review it based on the first 3 minutes of the film and the last 4 minutes of the film, because I've seen those portions of the film numerous times.
Okay.
But I cannot review the middle hour and 38 minutes of the film, unfortunately. So this is going to be a one-sided review. I hate doing this, but unfortunately, It just did not work out for me to see this film, but you did see this film.
I
so
did.
I'm going to ask you questions about this film and let you tell me all about it. And we're going to take it from the angle of, Chris, if I'm able to squeeze an hour and 44 minutes into my life in the next couple of weeks, should I use that hour 44 minutes of very valuable time I have to watch the movie Hoppers? So Chris,
But now,
that is
technically, if you've seen the beginning and you've seen the end, you're maybe looking at an hour 35.
very good point. Okay, let's revise my question then. An hour 35. If I could time my life perfectly to where I could walk into the theater 5 minutes into the film, because I've already seen the first 5 minutes,
Right.
and I could leave
And then you get to leave. Yeah.
before the last couple minutes, which I know very well. Should I spend my time doing that, watching Hoppers?
So I think so. Prior to the film we're discussing today, what's the last Pixar film you saw?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, really, it has been a while.
Fair enough.
Was it the last Toy Story film?
Could be that. Okay, so we reviewed that film in 2019 here on
boy.
the show. Yep. Okay, then after that, we actually reviewed Luca in 2021.
Okay, so I saw Luca.
And then the very last film, which I'm getting to be thinking this is it, because we did review it here on the show, was Turning Red in 2022.
Yes, yes. you're
Okay,
right.
so if that is the case, and that's the last one you saw, then you missed Lightyear,
I did.
you missed Elemental,
Yes,
last year's Inside Out 2, actually 2024's Inside Out 2.
correct.
And then Elio, and that was just from last year.
Yes, on
Okay.
all four.
So, and I think basically I've always enjoyed animation. For a while, I could use the excuse that, I had kids at home. Well, they're now grown, so I can't use that excuse anymore. But my wife really enjoys Pixar films. She's a big fan. So I've seen them all. I've seen all of those. The most recent, Elio, which I mentioned, performed poorly at the box office, but
Yes.
it did manage to get a 2026 Oscar nomination. It did not win. We'll get there in our later segment, the news segment. But I will say this film has been kind of touted as being a little bit of a kind of a renaissance maybe for Pixar, kind of returning to some of the
return to form.
Pixar pizzazz that people feel like, has been missing. I'd say it did deliver more on that.
Okay.
Kids in the audience that I saw it with were entertained, and parents were as well. Jokes, as always with like Pixar films, important to have jokes for both the kids and adults. My favorite joke, which was rather unexpected, was spoken by the Bird King in the film, and he said, "Flap around and find out." Which you can see there's another version of that is much more
Yeah, yeah.
adult. That would not
Sure.
be in a Pixar film. Incidentally, it was voiced by Isaiah Whitlock, who passed away in 2025. So he actually died, I think, December 30th. So I don't think this is his last. Technically, he wasn't on screen because he was just voicing it, voicing the Bird King.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting. And I didn't realize something that I appreciated about this film. Kind of some ear candy for adults can be in this film that some of the voices, you hear them in like teasers and you're like, okay, well, I'll be amused because I'll get to hear, Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler doing
Yeah.
a crazy voice. So that'll keep me in, or Amy Poehler or something, so it's like, okay, I didn't really recognize any of the voices in the film. The Bird King sounded familiar, but I didn't until I saw the credits. I was like, oh, yeah, that totally makes sense. That's who that was. One of the voices, which I enjoyed the character as well, he's Jerry. He's this mayor in the film that kind of has ulterior motives to doing certain things around Beaverton, the town that all the action centers around.
Which is convenient.
It is.
Yeah.
He was voiced by John Hamm. And then I was like, likewise, when I saw that, I was like, oh, yep, that totally makes sense. But it wasn't. Sometimes that can kind of be distracting in a way. And it was really cool for me because it was like, I didn't recognize anybody's voices. Some of them sounded familiar, but I couldn't place them. So I enjoyed that. There's something, as far as from a technical aspect, you always expect it to look good. And this film, no exception. Something that and maybe it was just because of where I was sitting in the theater, but I feel like they've come a long way, all animation, but specifically I had noticed in this Pixar film, with hair. The little girl character, Mabel, her hair, like just the fibers of it, sometimes
Yeah.
it really would shift around. You're like, or like the wind would blow, and you're like, no, that really looks like hair. There's a professor that kind of is coming up with all this body hopping technology. She's an older professor, so her hair has kind of like, wiry wisps of gray and white hair kind of spindling off her head. That also looked really good. And I was just like, wow, the textures of it, just very impressive. And maybe that's been with other films. Maybe it was just because of where I was sitting in the theater, sitting rather close. But it looked great. So
Can I ask you, Chris?
Yeah.
I read the description of the film, kind of the little one sentence byline or summary synopsis of the film. Sounds pretty high concept. That was always a question for me, like in them marketing this film. And I'm curious now, having seen it, does the premise work? I mean, or is it just as I describe it, this animal lover technology conscious into a robotic beaver and her assimilating into the animal kingdom is like, ew, that's kind of it's obviously, I know there's a joke in the film about it being like Avatar type of thing.
Okay. Another joke kind of aimed at adults. Like, wait, am I just watching Avatar for young children? And they lean into that. Oh yeah, they totally like.
But the concept wise, I mean, does the story work? I mean, did you find it compelling and interesting? I mean, even given its kind of high concept side of it?
I did. And there are enough characters among the animals that are amusing and kind of what it originally, I found out doing a little bit of research after I'd seen the film when the director, which we haven't even mentioned his name, let me pull it up real quick, Daniel Chong, when he kind of approached Pete Docter and said, hey, which is another Pixar fellow, hey, I'm going to do this movie. I explained it. He's like, but it was geared around penguins. And Pete Docter's like, I love your idea, but no penguins. There are too many animated. I think he was thinking about Happy Feet. So he's like,
Happy Feet, the penguins of Madagascar.
He's like, yep, too many penguins. Can't do penguins. He's like, okay. So drafts later, it came back. He's like, okay, I'm going to do beavers. Not only am I going to do beavers, but I'm going to investigate like how they're key in animal communities. And that's not something that I was not a biology major in college. Yeah. I've never really thought about that, but that is brought to this movie and not in a heavy-handed way, because you can just imagine, okay, girl hops into body of beaver, girl is among animals. Okay, this is going to be a very heavy-handed environmental message. Well, yeah, there's environmental stuff in there, but it's not as heavy-handed as I think it could be. And that comes into play with Jerry the mayor. Yes, Jerry the mayor, voiced by John Hamm, is trying to build a freeway right in the middle of this nature preserve where this girl has a beaver pond. Okay. And you say like, okay, and I can already guess the end of the movie and like how it's like, good guys versus bad guys. That is there, but it is more nuanced than that.
Okay.
And I really appreciated that. And without spoiling the ending, which because you've seen the last 3 minutes of the film, the resolution at the end was more nuanced than it could have been. And I'll say that it kind of it offers a rose-tinted glasses perspective of, things kind of people coming together. Let's just leave it at that. And I could see a criticism of that, but I think, Pixar, young films for younger people, why not strive for that? Why not present a world where people can actually work together? Why not do that? Maybe that's not the case, but like, it doesn't hurt to try, and I think I appreciated it not being as like in your face as it could have been.
Good.
Kind of wheeling back to what you were talking about, some of the technology and the concept of the film, something that I thought was very clever. And I'd have to watch it again to make sure they stuck the landing on it. And I think they did. But there again, Pixar movies aren't about nitpicking it and making sure, like for continuity or whatever. But one of the things they did to kind of cue you as a viewer in was when a person had hopped to a body of an animal, their eyes would look more like kind of like the rounded, or when they were communicating to other animals and they were in the animal body, their eyes would be like, round human eyes or whatever. But then when, for example, a human was talking to an animal that had not wasn't hopped or whatever, their eyes would be like small little beady animal eyes.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a way for you to be like, okay,
Right.
you know, Mabel is in this body of a beaver and she's communicating with all these other beavers. Everybody has the same eyes.
Yeah.
But for example, if another human looked at Mabel and she wasn't using this communication device that's built into the robotic beaver, then she appears as just a little beaver with little beady eyes, like making a beaver noise.
Yeah.
So I feel like they did a really good job not making it extremely high concept. And for the most part, once she kind of goes into the robot and she's with the little animals, it's all the humor, everything's kind of kept in the animal world. So it's not like it's constant hopping back and forth to make you confused. I feel like it's, you know, fairly well handled.
Good.
So, yeah.
The director of this film, Daniel Chong,
Yes.
was looking back over just to see, because typically with these Pixar films, it's normally kind of a stable of directors that kind of rotate different projects, is what I've noticed. With Daniel Chong, though, he has not directed. He's been involved in a lot of other animated projects, as in the art department. He's been a producer on some. He's been a writer of some. But it seems to be like one of his first forays into the Pixar world. Seems to be new to that team.
Okay.
His previous work was as a director. He only directed one other film, and it was We Bare Bears, the movie. Does that ring a bell?
No, I think that's actually a Cartoon Network show. Bear Bears, I think was.
Bare Bears, but there was a movie.
There was a movie.
Yeah,
I was
like
not
a
aware.
Hour and 9-minute movie
Okay.
that was made that he directed. That was his only other directorial effort.
Okay.
But he was also a writer on. I had it here in just a second. He was a writer on also more We Bare Bears shows. He was a writer on the TV show that you're referencing.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's been in the art department. He was in the art department for Penguins of Madagascar, interestingly enough.
Maybe
And,
why they were like, no penguins.
Yeah. So anyway, just kind of interesting to see Pixar kind of bring in a brand new director, kind of new to their world. And it sounds like he matched the Pixar style and brand and kind of quality of film, right?
Yes. One of the things that I will make a unique to a Pixar film, and I'd heard it, but I didn't know what it, just like I'm going to leave it kind of vague here. But I'd seen reviews online, people saying, oh, this is kind of a return to a little bit of the Pixar magic. It's good. And I was like, well, good. I'm glad I'm going to enjoy my hour and 44 minutes. But someone remarked, it's the first time that I think the audience as a whole pretty much gasped at something. And I definitely know what they're talking about. And it happened at my theater too. Handled very well. Not just kind of I don't know that I've ever seen it done in a Disney Pixar film. Maybe in something like a DreamWorks film, something like this has happened. But I was like, oh, and for a second, you're not exactly sure if what you think happened. And you're like, nope, that happened. So I'll leave that kind of vague. But that was interesting. The film is PG. It's not, and my wife kind of leaned over. She's like, what's this rated? I was like, what? It's PG. She's like, oh, okay. So yeah.
Obviously what you're referring to did not happen in the first 4 minutes or the last 4 minutes.
It does not.
Of
It's
the film.
maybe 35 minutes in, maybe midway. But yeah, so that was kind of interesting. But Hoppers, I recommend it.
Okay, that's good. Well, we got a recommendation from Chris. Again, I apologize. I'm not able to chime in my opinion on it. But in all honesty, even though I have not seen a Pixar film in a little while, and I'm not definitely up to speed on the filmography of that studio for a while, everything I've seen about Hoppers from the promotion, advertising, and the clips I've seen, it looks like my kind of animated. It looks like my kind of, if I'm going to sit for an animated movie, this is the kind of one I would get into.
I think Inside Out 2 is worth you checking out too. That's a solid entry. Yes, it does. Obviously, it's the sequel to Inside Out, which, depending on how you feel about Inside Out, I thought Inside Out was good.
That's fine.
But it's worth checking out too.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, we've got that, and then the next Pixar Disney animated film coming out is going to be Toy Story 5 coming out this summer. So we'll see.
Correct.
If they
since we reviewed Toy Story 4, I assume we'll probably review Toy Story 5.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We will. That's
okay.
fine. We will do that. Okay, good deal. Well, that is Hoppers, Chris's one-sided review of Hoppers. Thank you for spending the time to go see it, Chris.
No
and
problem.
Coming back and reporting back to us. Don't quite want to take a break yet. Let's do the trailer
Okay.
that we want to do, and then we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and talk Oscars because I really want to dig into the Oscars
Sure. Fair
winners
enough.
a little bit. So while we got a few minutes, we got one trailer. We actually had a lot of trailers we could choose from, but Chris decided he wants to frighten me, so he has opted for us to
What
watch
better
the
to follow
film.
up a review of a kids film than a trailer for like a horror film? Why
Yeah,
not, right?
so we're going to watch a trailer for the film. It's the film called Hokum.
Yes.
All right, so just a little bit about Hokum for anybody who's not familiar, because up until just recently, I was not either. But it is the premise of the film is when novelist Bauman, which is just an awesome name anyway. So
It's a weird name. but yeah.
Bauman retreats to a remote inn to scatter his parents' ashes. He is consumed by tales of a witch haunting the honeymoon suite. Disturbing visions and a shocking disappearance forces him to confront dark corners of his past. This is a film starring Adam Scott. So Adam Scott is the aforementioned Bauman that we're going to see in the trailer.
Which I will note, if I just heard the description, even though it is a studio that I'm a fan of, Neon, I probably wouldn't be like that interested in it. But the fact that Adam Scott and with such an unusual name, neither one of us have seen this trailer.
Yeah. No.
I'm hoping that there's a little bit of, I don't want to say comedy, but just a little bit of levity. Like, I don't know, I'm interested to see Adam Scott kind of do this kind of film.
All right. Well, let us take a look at the trailer, the latest film or upcoming film from Neon Studios. This is the horror film Hokum. Okay, that is the trailer for the film Hokum. It is opening May 1st, and from Neon Studios, Adam Scott starring. Chris, initial thoughts on the trailer for Hokum?
So don't know if there's going to be, but maybe a little tinge of the Adam Scott kind of comedy type thing that I'm used to seeing. With him probably dialed down, but the look of the film looks awesome. I mean, it does look, it's set at this hotel. There's a lot of interesting character actors that are working there. I feel like some of them I've seen before. I'm on board. I also say that the director, Damian McCarthy, I've seen another film of his that they kind of mention, and yes, they say producers of Barbarian and Weapons, which I'm sure that anything that Zach Kreger is just the slightest bit somehow adjacent to, because both of those films are well known now. Granted, it was just the producer of those films, but still putting those films on screen is kind of a way of saying like, hey guys, look. But the director of this film has done another film that I believe I've recommended on the show before, Oddity. And that was a small horror film kind of set in one location, but just kind of clever ideas. And it's all about the ideas and rattling around with people's pasts and stuff like that. And that, obviously, with kind of the setup that you gave about him coming to this hotel with his parents' ashes to kind of lay them to rest. Yeah, seems like there's a lot of that going on too. I am interested to see it. Will I probably see it in the daylight hours? Maybe. But I think it looks interesting. Looks
Okay.
cool. So
Yes, I'm kind of interested in this film because I like, if I've got to see a horror film, give me a good haunted house kind of in a building. I'm okay with that.
Sure.
That's at least a style that I can get into.
Gotcha.
Kind of that idea with a little bit of maybe mystery attached to it. I'm good with that. So I'll give it a shot. Some of the images are still a little frightening. So I'm just a little. I don't like some of the stuff.
Okay, and what also intrigues me a little bit, say the title of the film, Hokum. Generally, an expression used where something's just like, you don't really believe it. Seems kind of, that's where the expression hokey kind of comes from, is hokum. So, this hotel, and I'm assuming kind of a smaller part of town or whatever, in a smaller town, it's like these people may be acting weird or they may think there's a witch, but it's like, yeah. It's kind of hokum, kind of silly, like, but I'm assuming it's kind of playing with that, like maybe what this sophisticated person thinks is a bunch of, foolishness actually turns out to be something a little more. I don't know. So, yes, I'm intrigued, looking forward to, I believe, May 1st.
May 1st.
Yeah.
Yep, that is the date.
So,
All right. Well, we will wait and see what happens with Hokum when that comes out here in just a few weeks. Okay, Chris, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got some Oscar talk. All the winners and surprises or disappointments that might have happened with the Oscar ceremony this year. We're going to go over those in just a moment. So stay tuned. You're listening to Foot Candle Films, and we'll be right back in a moment.
Carolina Barbecue Festival's 5th anniversary is almost here. Get your tickets today for the Queen City's biggest barbecue party, April 17th and 18th, Victoria Yards in Uptown Charlotte. 30 pitmasters are celebrating Carolina barbecue traditions, supporting Operation Barbecue Relief, and serving you the very best barbecue. The fun starts Friday night with the kickoff and a salute to all things Charlotte barbecue. Then we all get together for Barbecue Saturday and tasting plates from 25 pitmaster stations. Tickets are going fast, especially VIP early entry. Get yours today. CarolinaBBQFest.org. Then join us April 17th and 18th for the Carolina Barbecue Festival.
Welcome back to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. Alan and Chris here with you again. We had our review of Hoppers in the first half, and we watched the trailer for Hokum. But now it's all about Oscars, Chris. We had the Oscar ceremony, as we mentioned in our setup of the show. Had our Oscar ceremony just 48 hours ago. Well, 36 hours ago on Sunday evening. And, we did our ballots in advance to see if we could predict what the answers were, or what the winners were going to be. You did pretty good. You did 19 out of 24.
21 out of 24.
21 out of 24.
Yes.
I did 19 out of 24. You only missed 3 out of 24 awards. That was really good.
Yeah, I was surprised. I think, I'm not sure, but I think that's the best I've ever done.
I mean, I got to imagine so. I don't remember us ever getting...
I've definitely never got a perfect ballot.
Right. Even missing just 1 or 2, I don't remember anybody doing that. So missing 3 that's good. That's really, really good. I think in general with this overall, I mean, if I just want to give a kind of a overall statement from the ceremony.
Sure.
I think there were very few surprises. I think it was about as even-handed award ceremony as possible given the films that were expected to do well. The 2 films that kind of came to the end of the night, as being up to that night as being kind of the favorites, One Battle After Another and Sinners, and there was a big question of which of the 2, both walked away with a lot of awards and a lot of recognition.
Right.
Ultimately, it did tip in favor of One Battle After Another, not only in number of awards, but also the biggest awards, director
Sure.
and picture,
Right.
going to One Battle After Another. So, I could see some people who were really big fans of Sinners pulling for that, maybe walking away a little disappointed, but Sinners still got 4 awards and did pretty good, got Best Actor.
Right.
Yeah, got some other things. So it was, I say that to say that I don't think it was a surprising night. I don't think anybody walked away like shocked or really upset about the answers. I mean, the results. I think it fell in line pretty much like what people would expect. There were 1 or 2 surprises in some smaller categories of other ones, but
Sure.
overall, was that kind of your takeaway too? I mean, do you think how would you personify the Oscar results from Sunday night?
No, I was pleased that it was as balanced as it could have been, I guess, for One Battle After Another and Sinners, because early on I got to think, I was kind of worried that maybe, for example, Sinners got to do their production number of the song that was the Oscar-nominated song for them, and that's not unusual, but what is unusual is they only had 1 other song get to be performed, and that was Golden from K-pop, Demon Hunters, which did end up winning.
Best song.
Best song, original song.
Mm-hmm.
And I Lied to You was the one from Sinners. That instance concerned me because that previously that had been done. I guess 2 years ago, Wicked basically opened with a production number of original song, and Revo and Ariana Grande were singing, and then it was like basically it did not win some awards that a lot of people were disappointed for, and I was like, it was like kind of like, okay, we know this isn't going to be Wicked's night, but we know it's a popular movie, so we're going to let them open the show with this big production number and let them do the song. When that happened with Sinners, and then for a while they didn't do any other songs, I was like,
Yeah.
this doesn't bode well. But no, it did. Obviously, you mentioned it ended up winning 4 awards, so I was pleased that it wasn't like they were shut out or anything. So
So Sinners walked away with best original screenplay.
which,
Yeah.
if you're not going to get, if the director, which Ryan Coogler was the writer and director of Sinners, if you're not going to get Best Picture, which you mentioned he didn't get director, I think the next thing you can get that gives you a chance to really like talk, obviously, is this original screenplay, and he won that, and he had a chance to kind of talk and everything. So I think that's good that he did win that. I'm pleased. I was really glad that he won that. Because,
That kind of gave Coogler his chance to,
to shine.
To shine, get his speech in and all that as well, which is great. Best original screenplay. It also won best casting. No, One Battle After Another got casting.
Correct.
Sorry. Sinners got best actor with Michael B. Jordan.
Score.
Score. Yes, it got original score, which is great. And then what was the 4th award it got?
So 4th, kind of a big one. Which I don't know if people were surprised. I had thought One Battle After Another was going to take cinematography, but Sinners took cinematography, which was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it was the first woman of color that won that award, and that was a big,
actually first woman, right?
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it's first woman in general.
I have the woman's name is escaping me now.
Autumn Durand Archipel.
There we go. And her speech was one of the more memorable ones of the night because of what we've already said. And at one point, she implored all the women in the audience to stand up because she said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the examples that you had set, breaking the various ceilings.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see.
It was great. It was really good. So those were the 4 awards that Sinners won. One Battle After Another, as I mentioned, did win kind of, quote, the bigger awards, and it did walk away with 6 awards, I think, for the evening as well. Of course, you had Best Picture that it won. It did get 1 acting award for Best Supporting Actor with Sean Penn. Got Best Director for Paul Thomas Anderson. First time he's won that award as director as well, I believe. Right. And then we also had him winning for Best Adapted Screenplay. The Pinchot novel he adapted.
Right.
PTA got to go up and accept that award for adapting that screenplay. And then we also have other awards that won were Best Film Editing and
it won for casting.
Casting, like I mentioned earlier. I think that was it. So that's the 6 that it won. Casting being a brand new award category, first time giving out. So so it walked away with, it was a good night for One Battle After Another for sure. And kind of, I think you can easily now claim it was like the most awarded film of the year, It's done. It has succeeded that for the year 2025.
Correct.
Outside of those 2 big films winning a lot of things, we did have a few other films that kind of crept in and got some notable awards. We've got Best Supporting Actress with Amy Madigan from Weapons.
Which I was happy to see that for so many reasons. I think I learned that she and Ed Harris are husband and wife, which I did not know previously.
For
or maybe I'd
40
forgotten.
years, 30, 40 years. I mean, they've been together forever, which
which kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I was not aware of that. Or if I knew it, I'd forgotten
You've
that.
forgotten it.
And this is just, obviously we reviewed Weapons here on the show. And at the time, I think in my Letterboxd review, I joked, I was like, okay, let's start the campaign for Amy Madigan for supporting actress. Never did I dream, A, that she would get nominated, and then B, that she would actually win. So I was really happy to see that. She seemed genuinely surprised, but also pleased and happy that she had won. So that's just one of those kind of like, hey, cool. And, if I think about it, I was like, oh yeah, she was originally in Field of Dreams. Like, she's been around a while. So it's kind of cool to see her, have a role that a lot of people saw, because a lot of people saw this film, and it's kind of cool.
That award I know did kind of come up to be a little bit of a surprise. I think the heavy favorite was Tiana Taylor with One Battle After Another,
right? To
kind of walk away with it. That one's was a little bit of a surprise, and it being one of the first awards given in the night. It's kind of when it was announced, I'm like, ooh, okay, maybe this is not going to be dominated by one or two films like evening, but it still turned out to be. It's just this
Sure.
was a kind of a one-off
Right.
award for Best Supporting Actress. Outside of that, the other acting awards we already mentioned were Sinners and One Battle After Another, winning the other three. No, I'm sorry, I forgot. Jessie Buckley winning for Hamnet was Best Actress. That one was pretty much expected.
right.
I don't really think any of the other four were ever really considered favorites for it. And the fact that One Battle After Another and Sinners had no nominees in the Best Actress category. It's like, okay, well, yeah. So Jessie Buckley with Hamnet was kind of a expected win, and it did turn out to be the case.
Right.
So once we get past kind of those categories, I'm just going to hit some highlights of others, and you chime in with any other thoughts you've got, Chris.
Sure.
Best animated feature was K-pop Demon Hunters, which was also kind of a big deal.
Yes.
First, kind of K-pop related media to get this kind of acclaim and awards. Korea, being represented at the Academy Awards, I think for the first time winning. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that.
Sure.
But and it beating, some pretty big budget, Zootopia 2, Elio from Pixar. It beat out some pretty big heavy hitters. So that was impressive.
Which, people always talk about the shifting makeup of the Academy voters. I think really the first time that conversation was really started with Everything Everywhere All at Once, when that won so many, it was like, whoa, that's not your typical Oscar film. And then I can't remember if it was last year or not. I think maybe it was when Flow won for animated film. I was like, okay, that was like a very independent animated feature film. So this one not as independent because it was picked up by Netflix.
It was still a big budget film,
it's not a Pixar film. There were two Pixar films in the running, and those didn't win. So noticeable.
Well, I don't think Zootopia is not Pixar.
It's Disney.
It's just Disney.
Okay,
But
I lump them all together.
Let's just say Disney films.
Sure,
I mean,
okay.
Elio and Zootopia were both Disney films,
Gotcha.
animated big films. So
Right.
for sure. Best international feature was Sentimental Value, which I was happy to see because it did get nominated for a lot of stuff, and it just walked away with the one award. But I think well deserved on the international side. I think that was
Agreed.
There were some good candidates in the international feature category for sure. Secret Agent was getting a lot of heat, even in the Best Picture race at one point.
And at some points, people thought actor in a leading role, Wagner Moura may have won for, but went to Michael B. Jordan. But there was some talk.
Moura
won the Golden Globe.
I think he did, yes.
Okay.
But that was also, keep in mind, Golden Globes
split
has
the categories.
2 categories.
Right,
so yeah.
Right.
Sentimental Value winning for Best International Feature. We reviewed that here on this show a little while back. Let's see, documentary feature. Now, this one was a surprise.
Yes.
I think,
Very much so.
from what people predicted. The winner was Mr. Nobody Against Putin. I think the heavy favorite was The Perfect Neighbor, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, which was widely available on Netflix.
Yeah.
Lots of people had seen it. So that tends to make you think that's going to win. If not that, there were 2 others that were widely distributed. Alabama Solution on HBO. And then you have Come See Me in the Good Light, which was on Apple TV Plus. So you tend to think it's going to be one of those.
The more people that can have access to the film, the better it might do.
Right.
But Mr. Nobody Against Putin had very limited access for people to see, so that's even makes it a little more impressive. So
and I was really happy to see that one win because I did have a chance to see it, but I never dreamed that it would win the category. And I thought the speech was pretty cool.
No, it was absolutely. We already mentioned screenplays. Winner for original was Sinners. Adapted was One Battle After Another. We also mentioned the best original song. You mentioned Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters as winning original song. So Demon Hunters walked away with 2 pretty good awards.
Already been
feature.
announced there's going to be a sequel.
Well,
of course.
Best animated film, best original song, both going to K-pop Demon Hunters. We mentioned Best Original Score as being won by Sinners. Best Cinematography we mentioned as being won by Sinners. Best Film Editing was One Battle After Another we mentioned as well. All right, but I mean, this is the one, Chris, we've got to talk about. I mean, there's so much to talk about with this one. Best Sound, F1.
Sure.
I mean, yeah.
It won one.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, they
Yeah.
can put Oscar winning
Yep.
by the,
Which, you look, I'm still a F1 pseudo defender. I had a good time with F1. I
had an okay time.
I thought it was a fun.
I will never watch it again, but I've seen it
thought
once.
It was a
and
fun
okay.
popcorn movie. I
Sure.
enjoyed it. Visually, I would have been okay if it had gotten some more visual recognition. But sound obviously is something that works for the film, and I think it's fine. So it does get the claim. Apple can now say, yes, it was a Oscar-winning film. So, yeah.
I'll say too, I liked the film. I wish I would have liked it more, but I was glad to see that it did win some films because I also like the director. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Yes.
It did walk away with 3 Oscars. So
Yep.
you're talking hair and makeup, which if you've seen the film, you see how Jacob Elordi was made into Frankenstein. You're like, yeah, it deserved that.
Yep.
So it got that as well as production design
And costume.
Costume design. Yeah. So those 3, which I guess they call the craft categories
Yes.
or whatever. But yeah, I was glad to see it won those.
No,
3.
I think again, if you kind of had to say which films walked away as the biggest winners, I mean, obviously it's One Battle After Another and Sinners. Probably after that was Frankenstein because it
Yeah.
did win 3 of the
3.
craft awards.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
pretty good. And then, outside of those, all we had really left was visual effects, which was Avatar: Fire and Ash winning for
surprise.
visual effects. Yeah, not really surprised. A little, yeah. Kind of expected, I guess, and a little routine. You know, this is the 3rd one now for Avatar. But,
3rd film and 3rd award.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's really no surprises here on the nominations. The only one was The Lost Bus, which is a film I have not seen, have not
It
caught
is
up
one
with.
of the few nominees that I haven't caught up. It's Apple TV Plus, but I
Right?
didn't catch
Matthew
up with it.
McConaughey in that. I've heard
Paul
some pretty good
Greengrass.
things.
Paul Greengrass
Yeah, I've heard some
directed.
good things, and it kind of sounds like it might be worth a shot. And it did get nominated for Best Visual Effects, but lost to Avatar: Fire and Ash, along with F1, Jurassic World Rebirth, and Sinners on that end. Outside of that, we had the short films, which we can just kind of hit really quick. Best Animated Short Film was The Girl Who Cried Pearls. That was a bit of a surprise for me because I really expected, given the subject matter of the film and the style of the film, for Butterfly to be the winner. But
I feel like it was basically going to be between those 2 films, Butterfly and Girl Who Cried Pearls.
Right.
What I've there again, who knows? Because shifting makeup of the voting body. But I've heard whenever there's a stop motion film, that tends to sway just because they say, oh, that's so much harder and takes so much longer to do. Don't know if that's true, but I've heard that often can be a swaying factor. And The Girl Who Cried Pearls was that kind of stop motion.
No, it was
animation.
a very technically challenging film, I'm sure, to make, and that probably has something to play into the factor. Well, Butterfly definitely had the subject matter, but
And a very
animation style
unique,
was
like,
also
watercolor
Yeah,
animation
but it was
style.
also maybe a little less technically challenging
Maybe,
than
yeah,
Girl
yeah.
Who Cried Pearls. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
I don't know the animation process as well.
Sure.
We had an interesting tie for Best Live Action Short, which is, I can't remember the last time we had a tie at the Oscars, but supposedly it has happened before.
Apparently they said twice, but I don't
Yeah.
ever remember it happening. I mean, if it didn't happen between La La Land and Moonlight when that whole debacle
Right.
happened, then
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't think there were ties. I didn't
Yeah.
think that was possible.
Yeah, that's true.
Apparently.
Best Live Action Short, we had 2 winners. So it was The Singers and Two People Exchanging Saliva. Those 2 tied for Best Live Action Short. Chris, I'm well documented as saying that I have not seen the live action shorts. I still did not get to catch up with them. So in your opinion, did those 2 warrant the tie that they received?
I thought all 5 were really good because I did have a chance to see all 5. And I can't imagine the other people were like, hey, wait a second. There was a tie and we're not one of the people that tied because there are 3 that were kind of left out. I wish I could get into the offices of, I don't know if it's Price and Waterhouse who do the tallying.
remember who does it
and
now.
just see like how close was the third place winner?
Yeah,
Or you're like the
right.
third place because you're like these two tie. I guess it would be the second place since there was a tie. But no, I feel like those two were, I think, different reasons. One was definitely the Saliva one, much more artistic, avant-garde. It was in black and white. Foreign, because there were subtitles with that one. Where Singers was kind of your straightforward in English. You think it's going to be one thing, but it kind of pulls some heartstrings in some ways. So both very solid, two completely different type of films. But,
All right. Well, good. And then best documentary short was All the Empty Rooms with that. So, which I think was kind of a favorite going in. I think it had,
I feel like
a lot of heat behind it. So
there again, that another Netflix. So Netflix did pretty well.
yeah, Netflix did pretty good. So, but speaking of films that didn't do so hot,
Yes.
we did have a few films that were kind of quote shut out. Now,
I know one.
yeah, I know a couple. Begonia was one that was, didn't win anything. It was also one I don't think anybody had any expectations at any time that it would ever win anything. It was also, honestly a little bit of a surprise when it crept into the field of Best Picture nominees. I don't think it
Emma's no right. And
it got nominated for Emma Stone,
right,
but that
which
was it.
I feel like Emma Stone is kind of a given because she. Yeah.
So Begonia walked away empty-handed. The Secret Agent walked away empty-handed, which a little disappointing because I think that was an interesting, challenging film to throw in there, and would have been nice to see it get something. But
and it had a couple of nominations.
it did
but
have
yeah,
a few
to walk
nominations.
away,
Yeah. Train Dreams did not win anything. Also, again, not terribly surprising because it was it probably had the least energy behind it from a marketing standpoint and promotion, and I think probably had maybe the lowest number of people seeing that film of all the films on the list, I would guess.
On Netflix, but kind of gets swallowed up by all the other content.
I mean, being on Netflix doesn't mean people are going to find it. It's it could be anywhere
true.
on there.
True.
But probably the biggest one that was like 9 nominations and walked away with nothing is Marty Supreme.
Right.
This is the only one I think that is I do feel like was an intentional snub. I do feel like there was some anti-Marty Supreme sentiments out there in the voting body that caused it not to win a single award of all the 9 it won. I personally feel like it's a little bit of a Timothée Chalamet, I don't think does himself all the favors of getting people in the Academy on his side, and his recent comments about
Opera
and ballet did not help him, I don't think. Right. I think the fact too that one of the co-stars in the film, the guy from Shark Tank, who plays the guy who paddles him in the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Okay.
But he's actually a real life business guy, and he's not an actor, but he does the Shark Tank show.
I've never seen Shark Tank, so
he's been on. I saw him. He was on.
I thought he was great.
He was on CNN, another channel. He does political commentary. He's a very non-actor person.
He looked familiar, but I didn't know from what. But
he's also, I don't think he has the biggest fan base in the artistic community. So I think that possibly kind of skewed some things against him.
Interesting.
And I think the fact that Marty Supreme was maybe not the film everybody expected it to be, style-wise and tone, and
Marty is kind of an anti-hero.
Yes, and we talked about during our review that it's not a film where you find yourself pulling for anybody or liking anybody in the film necessarily, and it's also incredibly intense and stressful and fast. It had a lot of things that I could see where on paper it looked like a good Oscar-winning film. But when people actually saw it and kind of dug into the deep into it, it was like, don't quite know if it fits that category.
Sure.
So I think all those factors around, that's the only film I feel like there might have been a resistance to.
I think that's a fair guess. Yeah.
So so Marty Supreme probably the biggest loser of the night with no wins out of 9 nominations. So overall, Chris, I thought it was a pretty good, fair assessment of 2025 in terms of pictures and movies. I thought it summed up things pretty good for us. So you got any other thoughts, any surprises or anything of interest from you?
I'll comment on, it was the second time out, Conan O'Brien as host. I really loved the intro, which
Yes.
probably confused viewers who had not seen Weapons. They don't
Yes.
really get the joke. But from the moment it started, I was like, if it doesn't end with the kids running through the audience in the thing, I'm going to be really disappointed. And sure enough, it did. I loved it. Then probably very few people stuck around for it because it's like, one battle after another wins,
Yeah.
and they start doing credits. And you're like, okay, this show's over. They did a closing gag of Conan O'Brien being told he was going to be host from here on out,
Yeah.
and referencing one battle after another in the closing
Being
scenes.
shown
in
the
that.
corner office.
Yes. And I just was like, man, I thought that was just really,
Yeah, it was really
well
good.
done, clever. And yeah, so for the true, like the nerd cinephiles out there, I thought that was great.
No.
So
I like Mr. O'Brien as the Oscar host. I'm fine with him kind of holding that seat for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. The show, especially, I think there were a lot of expectations that it was going to get more political than it did. It did not.
no,
It was very slight on commentary. Even the people accepting or the presenters, very, very few opinionated comments, which again, I'm not saying is good or bad. I'm just saying, I think they made an effort to keep the show as open as possible for everybody and not to feel like it got too heavy handed in
Right.
too many places. So
Sure.
yeah. Okay. Well, that was this year's Academy Awards ceremony, but more importantly, the winners of the different categories from that evening. So we will look forward to see what the year 2026 holds for the 2027 Oscars. coming up this
always
time next
confusing
year.
that way.
I know it is a little tough, but it's going to be an interesting year to see what shakes out this year as kind of the big movies come this time late this year in December or so.
It's funny too, like when you looking back, which is, I guess we're ending that today because we're, but the Oscars kind of make you realize how many good films came out and you're like, oh, it was a really good year for movies. I feel like 2026, just because of some of the things that are slated to come out, could be pretty impressive, but we'll see.
Well, I think was my prediction on 2026, the 2027 Oscars is, and I think we referred to this when we talked about upcoming films. We did a little recap of some of our anticipated films this year.
Right.
There are a lot of bigger films coming out this year.
Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey.
Nolan's The Odyssey, Steven Spielberg's
Disclosure Day.
Disclosure Day. There's others I'm sure I'm forgetting, but yeah, there's some big films
Right.
by big directors that are coming out this year. And by those are also ones that could be in the talks Oscars if they play out. So
Right.
where this year we didn't really have any big movies that ended up being like big movies financially and like, exposure wise, one battle after another. Yeah. It won a lot of awards, but it didn't do tons of business. I mean, it's not
Right.
like everybody saw this film. Sinners was probably the biggest big film we had all year
True.
as far as that goes. But I think this year it has a chance to have some big budget, big director name movies that also get some Oscar attention at the end of the year, which could make it a very different type of ceremony next year. So,
Sure.
All right. We will see how it turns out. But that was the Oscars. So, Chris, we're at the end of the show. Last thing we got to do is have your recommendation. So we've talked about a lot of movies over the course of these Academy Award discussions, but
Yes.
in the midst of all that and in the midst of mentally prepping for the Oscar ceremony, which I know you do, you have a whole regiment, a whole routine you kind of go through to prep for that night, and it takes up a lot of your time, but you still found time to watch a film that you'd like to recommend to us. So what is that film and why are you recommending it to us?
So it's a tie between
Oh.
Two People Exchanging Saliva and The Singers. I'm going to recommend both of those short films.
Oh, you're recommending those two.
The
Okay.
two that tied for live action short.
Good.
The Singers is available on Netflix, and Two People Exchanging Saliva, it's just available on YouTube. The New Yorker helped fund it, and they threw
Yeah,
it
the
up
New
on
Yorker
YouTube.
put out a lot of the short films. Actually, all the animated films are up, I think, on the New Yorker's YouTube channel. And they've got a lot of them out there.
So yeah, you can check them both out. Singers, you do have to have a Netflix subscription.
Sure.
But no, I liked them, and I think it's cool to see I mentioned how they're like completely different type of shorts. One has, I would say, Exchanging Saliva is definitely dark comedy, but has some comedic elements in it, and just really, odd, kind of like a David Lynchian done in black and white if it was a French film. But really cool. And then the singers, just a pretty straightforward, but not overly maudlin, I would say, because there is some humor in there too. But it's about a bar where there kind of becomes a little bit of a singing competition and how that's done. But yeah, I recommend both of them. The Singers and Two People Exchanging Saliva, both Academy Award winners for a live action short, which apparently doesn't happen very often, but has happened before.
Yeah.
So,
I will say, because, Chris, even though I don't get to see as many of the movies as you do,
right.
I do find myself in a lot of social situations, networking events, things I have to go to, I have to be an appearance at. And of course, whenever I show up at these places, normally people will gravitate to me to talk about movies.
Of course.
And especially with the Oscars going on this past weekend.
What do you think's going to win?
That was the biggest conversation. I went to an event just last night I had to go to. I was forced to socialize, which isn't always what I'm in the mood to do, but forced to do it.
Sure.
And yes, all the conversation about the winners. The number one takeaway was people saying, yeah, I saw that Exchanging Saliva movie and not sure I quite got it or liked it or whatever. So that was like the biggest. It is an acquired taste movie from what I can say.
It's my taste.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
It is. It's very unusual. It's kind of bizarre, but if you like Terry Gilliam, David Lynch, rattle off the names, then yeah. So it's not everybody's cup of tea, but obviously some in the Academy felt
everybody talks about how they love the Singers.
Oh, yeah.
But
there you go.
The Saliva one, they're like, don't know if that's my thing or not. But anyway, sounds like it was your thing, and sounds like it was the Academy's thing. So,
right.
Yeah,
so
as well.
It balanced because really, I guess maybe, interesting that it was a tie, and it was that category that did it.
That's true. Okay, well, I think that does it for today, Chris. We covered a lot. Our review of Hoppers. We watched the trailer for Hokum. We talked about the Academy Award winners, and you gave your recommendation of 2 of those said winners in your recommendation category. So, Chris, if anybody would like to dialogue with us and have a continuing conversation about anything we talked about, how can they get a hold of us and do so?
You can send an email to info@footcandle.org. You can leave a voicemail via the contact page on the mesh.tv website. Follow us on Facebook at Foot Candle Film Society, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, at Foot Candle Film. Al and I are also on Letterboxd, where we try to track what we're seeing and leave quick takes. Do us a favor, if you like the show, consider giving us a star rating, write a review, share with friends or whatever service you receive your favorite podcast on, because it'll help reach new listeners, and we would appreciate that.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap it up. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and we will look forward to talking to everybody next time. We will see you then.
See you in the ticket line.
Watch films in the company of like-minded people in the dark. Watch films in the underground. We won't let anyone know where you are. The films that don't make it to Carmike at the mall, or ones that were famous when Grandpa would watch films out of the reverence of the heritage of an art. Watch films through the courtesy of Foot Candle Film Society.
Special thanks to Carpal Tuller for the show theme music. For more about Carpal Tuller, visit www.carpaltuller.com. You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.